Terrifying true stories that will give you goosebumps, Part 1. In 1885, a man received a letter from his brother in the mail. However, his brother had been dead for 13 years. The letter mentioned that his brother was mentally ill, and that he'd soon be coming to visit. When the man dug up his brother's coffin, he found it completely empty. If you're scared of horror movies already, just wait until you hear this. In The Conjuring 2, 11-year-old Janet Hodgson was possessed by a dead man named Bill Wilkins. However, at the end of the movie, a real audio recording was played of the possessed girl, and the movie was said to be a real event. The real audio recording eerily revealed the little girl's voice to be deep and husky, the same voice as the dead man that had possessed her. The real Janet Hodgson said she felt used by a force that nobody can understand. She said the only way the old man could communicate was through her and her sister. Even the policewoman that was sent to investigate said she saw an armchair move, with over 30 other witnesses saying they saw strange, abnormal occurrences. Now comment if you think the supernatural does really exist. Here's the scariest things found in fast food meals. John Agnesini in 2008 found a 6-inch knife between his teeth after biting into his Subway. Lucky for him, he bit into the handle, and he also got a $20,000 settlement. In 2001, Angelina Cruz chewed on a Burger King breakfast sandwich and felt something pierce her cheek. It turned out to be a needle tip from a syringe, and she sued Burger King for $11 million. A woman in Virginia sued McDonald's for $100,000 after finding a chicken head in her nuggets. And in 2010, a woman from Texas bit into a Milky Way bar and found a tooth in her mouth that didn't belong to her. If you see this tree, run fast and cover your face. The Hippomane mancinella is the world's most dangerous tree. The sap that its trunk exudes is so poisonous and acidic that the merest contact with human skin will cause a severe breakout of blisters. And here's the terrifying part. Blindness can occur if it touches a person's eyes. It also has apples, where a single bite will cause blistering and severe pain, and can sometimes even sadly prove fatal. Do not watch this if you're already scared of the ocean. Seriously, this is your last warning. Scientists have just discovered huge underground oceans which are hidden under our planet. You probably don't even want to think about what creatures live in them. They hold 3 times as much water as the oceans on the surface of our Earth. And due to being so close to the Earth's core, scientists have said they can't even start to guess what creatures could withstand this temperature. Now comment what you think lives under us. This grocery store employee missing for 10 years was just found behind this store's cooler. Larry was reported missing in 2009 after reportedly becoming upset and running out of his home. Investigators believe he went to the supermarket, climbed on top of the coolers, and accidentally fell back into an 18-inch gap. He then became trapped between the cooler and the wall, where the noise from the cooler concealed all of his cries for help, so nobody even knew he was there. Now comment what your worst nightmare is. This is the loudest underwater sound ever recorded, but the creepy thing is, it has no scientific explanation. You can only ride this roller coaster once. Ulyanos Abernas designed this monster roller coaster and called it the Euthanasia Coaster. The ride would be able to hold 24 people, and once all aboard would ascend to a height of 510 meters. To put that in perspective, the roller coaster would almost be as tall as the tallest building in the whole of the USA. The train would plummet down at a speed of 223 miles per hour and go through all 7 loops. The decrease in diameters allow it to maintain a 10 G-force on all the passengers. This would cause them to slowly lose their vision as the ride progresses, and ultimately would kill them. This true story is gonna haunt your dreams. Robert the Doll was a straw-filled boy standing about 3 feet high, dressed in a sailor's suit. He was a gift given by a Bahamian servant to the young son Jean of the Otto family in 1906. Unbeknownst to the young son Jean, a voodoo curse was placed on the doll by the Bahamian servant after she suffered abuse from Jean's parents. It wasn't long before the Otto family noticed Jean talking to himself in 2 different voices, screaming in the middle of the night, and finding mutilated toys and overturned furniture in his bedroom. Jean would claim, "Robert the Doll did it." Eventually, Robert the Doll was locked away in the attic, but now can be found at the Fort East Martello Museum in Key West. And if you're wondering what Robert the Doll looks like, here's a picture. Here's what would happen to your body if you ate dry ice. As soon as you pick it up to put it in your mouth, your skin cells would begin to freeze and then die. If you were to hold it for any longer, your skin would begin to turn blue and grey. As soon as you ingest the dry ice, your tongue, mouth and teeth would sting and then go numb. As it travels down your esophagus, you'd feel an extreme tingling sensation. Then, as it reaches the stomach, it would react with the hydrochloric acid and begin to heat up, forming gaseous carbon dioxide. As the gas would continue to build, your stomach would expand and get harder until it bursts. Here's why holding in a sneeze can actually kill you. People tend to hold in sneezes to avoid being disruptive, but the effect of holding in a sneeze may be more than you bargained for. Dr. Werner said there are cases of people rupturing their throats after holding in a sneeze. The force is enough to break through your windpipe and push the air through the soft tissue in your neck. In these cases, it may be necessary to stay at a hospital for a week to let it heal completely. While this is a rare event, it does still happen. Luckily, it's avoidable if you just let the sneeze out. Now comment whether you've ever held in a sneeze. This man sets the world record for being covered in bees. This family's iPhone burst into flames while charging overnight. This is the terrifying and shocking footage of an iPhone exploding while in the kitchen. It happened in the early hours of the morning when there were 5 children upstairs asleep. But this isn't actually the craziest part. Brian and his wife Jennifer actually had no idea this even happened. It's only because their son noticed the phone looked damaged, so they checked the recording and saw this. So maybe think twice before leaving your phone to charge overnight and not using a real Apple charger. Cute animals that are actually dangerous. Now, dolphins are known to be human-friendly, intelligent, and playful. But if you upset them, they can actually turn into one of the most dangerous animals. Look, they have super sharp teeth, and if they bite you, it will really hurt. And they can actually hit you hard enough with the tip of their nose to unalive you. And finally, if they decide to pull you underwater, there's not much chance of you getting back to the surface. Here's the real stories and origins of famous Disney movies, and it's not what you're expecting. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. The original Snow White story, written in 1812, has an alternative and gory ending to the one you may be familiar with. It shares almost all the similarities with the Disney movie, except when Snow White is poisoned by the apple. The prince doesn't actually kiss her, but instead takes the casket she is lying in, trips over a branch in the forest, and dislodges the apple from her throat. Snow White and the prince then arrange their wedding and invite the Wicked Queen. Now here's where it gets disturbing. When the Wicked Queen arrives at the wedding, she is forced into wearing burning hot shoes. She is then forced to dance at the wedding until she drops dead. This was said to be her punishment for attempting to kill Snow White.